Hello, YouTube. It's Friday, April 7th, 2023, 11:06 a.m. And I really shouldn't be awake right now, but as per usual, having a night off has just completely screwed up my sleep schedule. So I'm probably really going to be struggling when I go to work tonight. I'm working a full shift tonight, at least I'm scheduled to, from 7 p.m. until 5:30 a.m. But it's actually not in like that. I'm not sure if I explained like what happened last weekend with my scheduling that was really weird, but I'm going to try to explain that right now. Let me roll up this window so hopefully I'm a little easier to understand. I have all my windows rolled down right now because it's really warm in the car. I still don't have my air conditioning fixed. Hell, I still don't have my fuel pump fixed, so I expect I'll have the Saturn probably stall out several times in this journey. But I'm slowly digging myself out of the hole that I got in last month. Just last month kicked my ass, and here it is. Shit, I forgot the date already. 7 days into this month, and I'm still kind of struggling trying to deal with stuff that should have been handled last month. So, and there's my first stall out. So, yeah, it's kind of normal for me to forget the date that fast. Like I just now forgot it was the 7th, but I find I'm having real frightening issues with my memory. Again, and that's scary. I don't know, one that happened earlier today that really threw me off was I called SRP, the power company, because I got an email today telling me that my electric payment was late, which I guess technically it is, but I made the payment yesterday with my electronic bill pay and my Wells Fargo banking app, which I knew was going to result in a lost payment, a late payment. And I've had this happen before, and usually as long as I just call them and explain to them that, hey, the payment is on the way, they'll usually waive the late payment fee because they understand just kind of how that payment method, although it kind of looks like it's an instantaneous thing, results in a lag between my app and them actually getting the payment. Yeah, usually SRP is really good with that, and they were fine with that. Like the customer service person that I talked to was extremely helpful and extremely easy to understand. Because I really struggle with weird foreign accents, and this guy sounded local, so I was able to understand him nicely and easily. But yeah, anyway, at one point he asked me, I've gotten kind of spoiled with so many customer service lines that identify me by caller ID, so as long as I call them with my iPhone, since I've had the same phone number for like 15, 16 years, it identifies me, and I'm, I don't have to, they know who I am when I'm talking to them. I don't have to identify myself or say what I'm calling in regard to. Like the automation has already matched that shit up for me. Anyway, I'm kind of explaining what's going on. He's like, yeah, I need to get your address. Like, look for your stuff. And I'm like, oh yeah, your guys' stuff doesn't do that. My bad. And then in that moment, I absolutely couldn't remember my address. I just 100% drew a blank on what my address was. I couldn't remember my address whatsoever. And so I started looking for something in my living room that had my address on it, and I wasn't finding anything, and I just about went into a panic attack over it. It was a very terrifying moment, and then in that moment, it occurred to me that Alzheimer's runs in my family, and I started to worry that maybe all these things that I often forget, such as what I'm talking about mid-sentence and the date after I just said what the date was mere seconds before, and all of a sudden, like, something that should be so top of my mind as my own address, it just kind of occurred to me that those are all signs, early signs of Alzheimer's disease. And it kind of has me wondering, my grandfather on my mother's side who had Alzheimer's disease, it kind of has me wondering, like, at what age he was when he had those signs, which eventually led to other more severe Alzheimer's symptoms, up to the point where he absolutely couldn't take himself, and eventually died when his body stopped controlling autonomous things like, breathing and heartbeat and stuff. But I do remember I lived with him for about a month when he was late into his Alzheimer's, and it was kind of a traumatic thing, but it was a real eye-opening thing. In that entire month, there was only one moment at which he recognized me, and it had been after I'd been there maybe 2 or 3 weeks. And at that time, I was starting to become kind of comfortable with the fact that my grandfather didn't know who I was anymore, as much as that hurt. And mind you, he was really not that old. I want to say he was in his mid 60s, maybe late 60s. Which is, I'm not that old now, but I can see that from here. And he was still very physically fit, and I mean very physically fit. The man probably could have bench pressed me still. He'd been a construction worker all his life, and was one of those persons that kept very fit from working. And then he was also he really enjoyed jogging and doing a lot of other physical activities. And when him going out jogging with Alzheimer's became problematic, because he would forget where he was and where he lived and where he was going. He would just remember that he was, jogging. So he would sometimes make it a pretty far distance before somebody, would encounter him, and then he'd even ask him where he was going, and he wouldn't know, and they would ask him who he was, and he wouldn't know. And an SRP representative just asked me my address, and I didn't know. I'm sure you can see why it's a cause for alarm for me. And unlike my grandfather, I don't have a wife to take care of me, or really any other kind of family support structure. I'm one man against the world who is extremely, extremely alone. So it's a scary, scary thing. Anyway, as a result of my grandfather constantly disappearing when he would go out jogging, getting lost, and then not remembering who he was or where he was going, and some pretty frightening near misses. Because he forgot things like you can't be jogging out into traffic cars won't stop for you type things. My grandmother got him an exercise cycle so he could at least stay physically active, because he still had such a strong desire to be physically active. So it was a pretty normal occurrence for me to come up from my bedroom in the lower level of the home, or to come in from wherever I'd gone outside, come in the front door, which was in the middle of it was a split level floor plan. So actually the entranceway was in the split level, and you entered in stairs and you went up to the living room and the master bedroom and the kitchen and the dining room, and then downstairs to two other bedrooms, a weird unfinished basement sort of thing, in the laundry room. I always dreamed someday I would inherit that house, but my uncle ended up inheriting it, and he died recently, and I have no idea what has become of that house. But I'm sure I won't be getting it. And to be fair, even if I did, I question if, even with the thing fully paid off, if I could sustain even the utilities and the maintenance that it needs, and the property taxes. I still wish I had a shot at it, though. Anyway, so I came in the front entrance, and I came up the stairs into the living room, and I could hear the TV on, and I could hear my grandpa, pedaling away on his exercise cycle. And this is a moment that will stick with me until I can't remember it anymore. If this is what indeed I'm facing. I came up the stairs and looked over at my grandpa, expecting him to look at me with the usual blank stare, and then turn right back to the TV and go back to pedaling as if I wasn't there, or was of no consequence to him. I was honestly getting used to that. In fact, I would say I was even actually kind of getting comfortable with it, because at least, I knew I was close to my grandpa, and I could still hang on to my memories of him when I was younger. Anyway, he stopped pedaling, and he looked over to me, and he goes, he says, "Danny, hey, when did you get here? I didn't even know you were coming." And I just about fell apart, and I just walked over and I gave him a big hug, and I said, "Grandpa, I've been here for weeks, but it's okay." And I know that's the last time that he hugged me, that he really genuinely knew who I was. Sorry, it's kind of a painful memory. It's really bittersweet. Anyway, it kind of scares me that maybe that's why I'm having so many struggles remembering things, and that maybe that's where I'm headed, but that I'm not headed to it with a caring, although kind of abusive wife, but rather I'm just heading there all alone. But I've been told there's two really good things about having Alzheimer's. You get to see new people and places every day, so there's that. Anyway, I know that's awful joke. I should be smashed in the face for that. I was talking about something that was not that at all, and now I forget what it would. I've long since forgot what it was. I don't remember. That's not what I was talking about. I remember going out the alley, and while I'm stuck in some shitty traffic right now, as 3 lanes of heavy traffic on Hayden merge into one, and where I'm going is right up at right up near this next intersection, so taking a side street, unfortunately, isn't really an option for me. That sucks. I'm on my way to the DMV to get my license plates for my car. I don't know what my registration is going to cost for the next 2 years, but I'm going on faith that what's left in my checking account right now that I have access to on my debit card should be enough to cover it. If it's not, I'll deal with that. If it's not, I'll deal with that. Yeah. If it's not, I'll deal with that. I'm also thinking while I'm here, I should maybe look and see about getting the titles to all my other vehicles, since at this point I have absolutely no idea where they're at, and I thought they were in the drawer where my children's birth certificates are and social security cards are, but I didn't see any car titles there. So when I was looking for Lily's social security card, so maybe that would probably be a good thing for me to have, since I don't know where they are. Oh, you don't see that sign over there? 6,900 new jobs. Yes, on 301, 302, 303. I can't read the font at the bottom because my vision is really bad. Looks like it says tapeworm something. I'm going to assume I'm reading that wrong. Alright, it made it past McKellips. I don't even see why they've got this much of a lane restriction happening. Apparently doing utility work. I got those big metal plates covering a chunk of the road there. Oh, there's not very many DMV or MVD, Arizona MVD offices open as there used to be. They've closed a lot of it, and I'm glad I checked this one, or I'm glad this one's still here because I didn't go online to check and make sure it was still open. But yeah, they've closed many of them recently, just because there's so many third-party places that offer MVD services, but those places are not able to give you as much information as the actual MVD is, such as like what's up with my, what I can do about all the missing titles of my other cars, all my cars, and the status of the registration of all of those. They wouldn't be able to answer those questions like somebody here might be able to. I said will be able to. I was going to say will be able to, but it's been my experience with, that person at Social Security wasn't able to tell me what I could do to get my daughter's Social Security card, at least not in a way I was able to understand. So I'm, I'm not gonna. I can't guarantee that the person here will be able to help me with that, but I'm hoping. I'm optimistic. But at the very least, I should be able to get my register. God, this thing's messing up now too. So many little things breaking on, seems like everything that I own. Like right now, I just really struggle to get my key out of my ignition because that mechanism is starting to wear out. There's a little button I pulled the cover off. In fact, I think I lost the cover. But a little spot where I can kind of put a finger in it, and then it'll release. But it's awkward when I have to do that, and I can't just pull it out like a normal person. All right, that's all the stuff I think I need for getting my registration. Yeah, the situation with my phones is getting really, really, really bad. My iPhone is barely usable right now. Shooting video on the Obamaphone, by the way. Seems like the last time I went to the iPhone repair place at 16th Street in Bethany, he did a really good job at replacing my screen. I can't slide him for that, but he wasn't able to do anything about my home button. And the explanation they gave me of what needed to be done for my home phone was very vague to me. So I still had the problem with the home button, even with a new screen. And from what he made it sound like, is that in order to get the home button replaced, I would have to get it, and functional. I would have to have the Apple Store do it with the screen. So it almost seemed like it was defeating the purpose, getting the new screen without getting the home button thing situated. But he, took my $80 anyway. Anyway, it's not on him that I dropped it at the bar just a couple weeks later and messed it up. As you can see, there's the bottom of it. It's pretty messed up there. Anyway, I dropped it again a couple times the other day, and it slid. I think what damaged it to the point where now I'm having problems using it was when I was shooting video day before yesterday on the way to work, and I had the phone sitting in my armrest. Shoot a video of me with the selfie camera, and then some idiot cut directly in front of me and then stopped perpendicular to the traffic lanes directly in front of me, and I had to jam on my brakes. And it sailed out of the armrest. I think that's when it finally just messed up to the point now. But anyway, the very bottom part of the touchscreen, it's not able to sense touch, and the biggest dead spot I have is in the lower left-hand corner, which is super problematic for using the phone, because when you use the iPhone keyboard, it's so hard to get into the phone because of the and I still don't have any data with Met for some reason. They said they upped my data plan, but I have no data on this phone whatsoever. No internet accessible on this phone whatsoever when I leave the when I don't have Wi-Fi. Anyway, the most problematic thing, and hopefully y'all can see that. The button on the lower left, and it's not a button, it's part of the touchscreen where it says 1, 2, 3 on an iOS keyboard, is where you touch to get the number keys up when you're typing, and also to access any punctuation other than, for some reason on my Gmail I have an @ sign and a period, but I don't think on my text message keyboard I get that. I think that's exclusive to Gmail. Because it seems like when I've been trying to use punctuation, I haven't been able to. Yeah, that's exclusive to Gmail. When I open it up in my text messages, that those buttons are there. I just have the space bar and then return. So anyway, when I hit that button, so I can type numbers or I can type any kind of punctuation, the screen can't feel that, and it treats it as if I have the shift key above it, which just alternates the letters between uppercase and lowercase. So there's no way to bring up, if y'all can see that, when I hit it, there's no way to bring up, see, it thinks I'm hitting above it. There's no way to bring up punctuation or numbers if I need to type them, other than in text message I can turn it sideways, which moves the keyboard like over here, and then I can do it, and then I have to turn it back sideways. So that's very difficult and awkward. And it doesn't work with all applications, because a lot of apps are designed to only be used vertically. So when I turn the phone horizontally, it just turns the app sideways and leaves the keyboard in the same place with no way for me to utilize that button. So yeah, and another thing where it's really impacting me is on YouTube, which I can't show you because if I open it, it's just going to go to the screen telling me that there's no internet available on this phone. But on the YouTube app, ironically, I can show you on what's left of Obamaphone 3. Well, maybe I can. Obamaphone 3 is still sort of working. For some reason, the brightness was all the way down, so I couldn't hardly see it in the car. Oh, and of course I get the same connect to the internet with it too, but that phone's not supposed to have service. I didn't even think of that. Maybe y'all can see that there though. The home, see the little home icon in the lower, I saw it there for a second. In the lower, there it is. For some reason it like sees it, there it goes. It's in the lower left corner of the screen, the home button for the YouTube app, which gets you to where you, where it shows you recommended videos and stuff. Yeah, I can't do that with my iPhone YouTube app anymore. So I'm not sure exactly when that became a problem, but it seems like it was after the phone took a spill out of the armrest. So anyway, I've got it with me. I've got Obamaphone 3 with me, and then I have my first ever iPhone 6s Plus, which is in the box that my second iPhone 6s Plus came in. And it's in pretty much pristine condition, along with this weird sticker on it. So there's a pretty good story behind it, other than you see there's some wear, which I think is just from being in some kind of a protective case. It was like that when I bought it. There's a story behind that, and I'm sure I've told it before in this vlog, but I might get to it later. But anyway, I'm not able to get into it. Like, they've done something to it where it doesn't recognize my thumbprint, and I don't know what I can't, it's locked, and I can't get into it. It was stolen and recovered by police. Anyway, I feel like the last time that I went to the repair guy at 16th Street in Bethany Home, I don't feel like he solved all the problems I asked him to solve with my iPhone 7 Plus. I think he just solved the one that was a quick money maker from him, and then took my money and left me hanging with a not functional home button. And the non-functional home button is a really big deal, because not only do I have to remember a 6-digit PIN to get into the thing, which I really struggle with doing, but you know, because it won't read my thumbprint, but it constantly gets to the point where it doesn't work, and then I get this virtual home button on my screen, which often, like, it, for some reason, it always wants to reorient itself at the bottom of the screen, in the middle at the bottom, and which is often really problematic, because, like, I'll be typing. See there, can you see it? See the little virtual home button, and that's where it puts it. That's it right there. Now I can move it, I can touch it, and I can slide it somewhere else, but it won't stay like here. I don't know if you can see that, like I moved it up there, but it won't stay where I slide it. Like, if it would stay where I slid it all the time, I don't think it would be as annoying. But when I least expect it to, it just pops it right back down to the center at the bottom of the screen. So if I'm typing to somebody and then I hit the space bar, I end up hitting the home button, and that's really, really frustrating. And then the other thing where it's super frustrating is with the camera app, which obviously I shoot a lot of video. I struggle so much with these things. I don't know if y'all could see it. It ends up blocking the shutter button. So, like, I'll go and I'll be ready to shoot video, and then I hit that button to try to start shooting video, and then it just takes me to my home screen because it put the home button in the way of the button that I needed to use. It's really frustrating. And I don't know if y'all can hear that. That's the sound that my iPhone 7 Plus camera makes when I open it. So yeah, the 7 Plus is really in bad shape, and I never wanted a 7 Plus anyway. I wanted a 6S Plus, because the 7 Plus doesn't have a headphone jack, and I hate that I don't have a headphone jack. So that's something I really... Anyway, I'm going to go to the guy I bought the 7 Plus from, see if I can do some wheeling and dealing with him, see if maybe he's willing to take it as sort of a trade-in. to rebuild it and sell it to somebody else, because I don't think it'll be cost effective for me to fix it. But even if he gives me a little something in trade for it, like that could be a good thing, as long as he can get me into my old 6S Plus, which I believe. So apparently the one I bought that was in this box was a 32 gig model. Wow, that'll hurt. I've found that lately the 128 gig is inadequate. Although I'm thinking maybe the one that's actually in this box is for my second one. I'm thinking my first one might actually be a 64 gig. And I don't think that they actually print that on the phone. It's on the box. Yeah, it just says iPhone S. It doesn't say the capacity. Without being able to boot it and get into it, I really don't know. Anyway, it's getting like hot like an oven in here. So I need to get in and handle my stuff at the DMV. But thanks for coming with me on this drive. And probably share more of my isolation with you later. So thanks for watching.